But we wear it as Christians because to us it's a symbol of life. And some of those early, especially pagans, going to say that makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. How can the cross be a symbol of life when they hang people on it? When it was like, in today's society, it would be the electric chair or the lethal injection. Those are symbols of death. But in our theology, in our faith, the cross became the symbol of life because Jesus died on it. So it's the opposite of what is expected. The paradox of the cross is also the paradox of our life, because we're all tied into this thing called paschal mystery. What's true for Christ is true for us. Should rub off. We're all in the same boat, so to speak. Caught up. So only we only go up by going down. Christ could only ascend by dying. And we've got to walk the same journey. Make sense? You're getting to know what a paradox is? Yeah? So St. Paul says it another way. It's a little twist, but he says, when I am weak, it is then that I am. Does that make sense? Absolutely not. Not if you're a good Catholic. What are you talking about being weak? We're supposed to fight weakness, aren't we? Are you going to give in to your weakness? Anybody here ready to give in to their weakness? Well then, don't you want to be strong? That means you got to be weak. Well, you better think about this. You better think about it. That's your homework. Chapter 3. Look how beautifully it starts. You foolish Galatians. Even by today's standard, you know that's not a compliment. Stupid is better. That book there, the message has crazy. Crazy. Crazy is more often stupid, don't you think? Crazy is like for an institution. That's where we put crazy people. They need help. If you're crazy. Okay, chapter 3, and this few lines that we're going to read is like a mirror. Think of it as a mirror. I wish I had one of those great big ones here. You stupid, what would we say, Catholics. You stupid Texans. You stupid McCallenders. Ooh, that one hurt, right? Thank God I didn't remember it, right? I say, when you have been exposed to the truth, how can you be so stupid? So confused? Who has bewitched you? Who has hedged you? It was before your eyes that Jesus Christ was publicly exhibited as crucified. The only thing I want to learn from you is this. Did you receive the Spirit by doing works of the law? Or by believing in what you heard? So, where did the message come from? That's what St. Paul is asking. Did it come from you following 613 commandments? And getting them right? Because you've got to get them all right. Every one of them. That's what Deuteronomy said. Got to get them all right. So that verse 2b, did you receive the Spirit by doing works of the law or by believing in what The explanation, are you so foolish, having started with the Spirit? Are you now ending with the flesh? Translation. Having started in the true self, how can you end in the false self? When you know who you are, when somebody tells you and explains your identity and we know who we are, why go pretending to be somebody else? Remember that whole thing goes all the way back to Genesis in the garden, chapter 3, the temptation of humanity. God knows if you eat of the fruit, you will be like God. And the irony is, they were already like God, in God's image and likeness. They had everything they needed, normal temperature in the garden, no mosquito, no income tax, no pains, no bunions, no arthritis. They had everything they needed, and they wanted to still be something else than who God created them to be. That will always get us into trouble. So if you're married, you look to your spouse for happiness. You look away from your spouse, you're going to find darkness, shadows, illusion. If you're single, be happy in the single life. It's wonderful, very fulfilling life. A wonderful life. You don't have to live a story. The doctor asked me if I snore. You know, if I had an answer, then you wouldn't be worried, right? Do I snore? I don't know. Do I get cold feet? And yes, I get cold feet. You know, that part I know. But I think most of us are asleep when we're snoring, right? And unless you have somebody to tell you, or poke you, or put the pillow on top of you. The location comes from being who we are called to be. Every time. Make sense? Any questions so far? Am I going too fast? No, right? No questions? Everything makes sense? About sin? You must be aware of sin in order to sin. Somebody says, I don't know if I really committed a sin. Stop. You didn't. And you didn't. You have to have an act of the will to commit sin. Otherwise, we're just speculating. I don't know who you're talking about. So you must have an act of the will. Necessary. You got to know that it's a serious matter. You got to contemplate doing it, and then you got to do it. Those three things speaks of almost of diabolic possession, as far as I'm concerned. Okay? So, where was I? So, how can anybody live in the false self once you know the true? And that's why St. Paul is so upset. And he tells these folks, you already know Jesus Christ. He's been, he's been taught to you. I presented him to you. You accepted him. And now, what are you doing? What are you doing? In Spanish, we say, nos hacemos tontos. We pretend we don't know. We pretend we don't know. So, it doesn't work. Because it all comes back, sooner or later. From childhood, really deep in our psyche is the system of rewards and punishment. And I guess that was one of the best ways we could teach little children in catechism. Certainly was the way I was taught. That if you go to heaven, it's going to be great. so everybody wanted to go to heaven. And so Sister was there to make sure that we all earned our way to heaven, starting with the spelling bees. And if you didn't spell correctly, had to sit down. We were all lined up across the room there, and you were given a word, and as soon as you missed the word, you had to sit down. If you got all the words, you got a little cosita, a little saint. If we sold all our raffle tickets, we got a little saint. 10 cents a chance. Then we had 10 to sell. Back then, it was a lot of money. Got to school, we needed to do those things. Raffles and stuff have been around. And that's when the nuns didn't get paid anything. They didn't get paid anything. That's how we take up the collection for religious, because there was no such thing as paying the sisters. They worked for nothing. That's why I went to school for $5 a month. That's it. Imagínate. That's when the snakes were still standing, I guess. A long time ago. So even pass fail, you know, somebody gets honored and somebody gets behind. Did you watch the Oscars? Did you watch the Oscars? I did it, and I didn't even think that. But anyway, there's one person that gets the Oscar of all those that are nominated, right? So the nominees was meant, some of the movies they had that received whatever nomination, Academy Award nomination, but no cigar. Because only one gets to get the Oscar, right? They got lots of losers that night. There's more losers than winners, yes or no? Some people still vote with it, really like it. It's not a very good system, but when the carnival would come to Valfurias, not often, but you know, every once in a while they would come to these little towns like Valfurias, and that was our big deal to go to the carnival. And I still hear my father complaining a lot because he had spent a whole $20. The little chances, you know, most of the rides were what? 10 cents, 15 cents. But he had 5 kids. So we were a bunch of us there. Anyway, my favorite of all the games were the little ducks. Remember the ducks? They were floating in the water. You know why they were my favorite? Because any duck that you picked, you got a prize. They were my favorite. 10 cents. I was no good at shooting the darts or the guns or or hitting the hammer thing. Probably went up that much. I didn't have many muscles. What? Much muscle. So they were, because everybody got a prize. If you played the ducks, you get a prize. Well, wouldn't it be grand if there were no wrong choices in life? Wouldn't there be less pain if we were programmed not to make mistakes? They came up with a modern car. There's a car now on the market. I think it's a Mercedes or something like that. Anyway, better remember, we're already winners. There should never be a doubt in our mind that when we close